everybody, welcome back to the Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back. We're doing another What's the Crack with That show, just where we pop on really and give an opinion on something, or in this case, probably a bit of a rant. I've decided to have a little chat about our second string and why I think it should get in the bin, certainly after the Sheffield Wednesday FA Cup defeat yesterday, which really stuck in my craw a little bit. I'm going to get stuck into this in a minute. Just before we do a little bit of housekeeping, if you haven't already, please consider clicking that subscribe button. Love you to come on board. We're on about 2,269 subscribers. I did myself out of subs there. Love you to come on board. Loads of content for you, all free of charge. Live shows weekly and pop-up videos just like this. So let's get stuck in then. So what am I here talking about? We didn't do a post-match. It was late on Saturday night. We had other commitments, but I just wanted to jump on and give my take really a little bit on what we saw against Sheffield Wednesday. I'm not going to go hysterical. I'm not going to do what people have done on social media and start criticising Eddie Howe too much. I think Eddie Howe's done a phenomenal job. We all have to remember that. He's took us from bottom of the league to third in the Premier League, but with that, he's raised the standards. He's raised the expectations of some fans, and some fans are bound to expect better than what was delivered last night. I think the biggest problem that we had last night really was just that realisation, if any of us didn't already know, that beyond the first 11, this second string Newcastle United team is nowhere near good enough. Nowhere near good enough to compete on all fronts. To be honest with you, some of them aren't even good enough to compete against League One opposition that they clearly showed last night. A couple of players really stunk out the place for me. In particular, start with Jamal Lewis, start from the back. I'm sorry, but he's shite. He's not good enough. People can say he's a young lad and all that stuff, but you know, he looked like he hadn't played football at all. I know he's been out of the team for a long time, but would have been better off with fucking Leona Lewis at left back. At least you can run, no pun intended. But he was just shite. Positioning was awful. Looked all over the place. Scared to be on the ball. Was getting bullied by League One players, and you know, you either loan the kid out for a season in the Championship to toughen him up and get him back to playing football and back to the player that looked quite decent at Norwich. You know, either side of Max Aarons again, who looked good on the right-hand side. So you either do that or you cut your losses and you get rid and you upgrade, because he's nowhere near good enough. Nowhere near good enough. Getting in this team. Dan Burn is a centre-back playing left-back, and he streaks ahead of Jamal Lewis. He was awful. He really disappointed me against Sheffield Wednesday. Matt Ritchie's too old. The mind's willing, but the body isn't able to do it. He broke down. He was knackered. You could see him blown out of his arse. Was a good player for us, has done great things for Newcastle United, but it's time to send Matt Ritchie away and thank him for everything that he's done, you know, and get an upgrade there as well. I appreciate this is probably going to cost money. Won't cost loads of money to get decent upgrades in, get young, hungrier players in, players with ability, players with quality, get them in. You know, people like Lampard at Brighton or something, go put a bid in for him, get him in. I'd rather have him in a full back, you know, pushing Trippier for a starting place. You can even move Trippier over to the left-hand side. But we need somebody at the back. We need somebody in that midfield for cover. Anderson was poor. He let us down. I think he come back into the game a little bit. He got stuck in, but he gets that chance. He's got to put that chance away. Bread and butter stuff that. I don't know how he didn't put that away. Just put a little bit of lace into it. Anderson smashing the back of the net. This should have been his game. Sheffield Wednesday was the quality of team that he excelled against for Bristol Rovers, so he really should have done something in this game. So that was disappointing. But saving the worst, probably the worst two for last, is Jacob Murphy and Chris Wood. Now, Chris Wood come on at half-time. She didn't play the full game. Alexander Isak hadn't kicked the ball since September and looked sharper, brighter, and way more confident, even getting back to fitness than Chris Wood will ever look in his entire career. This guy is absolutely toilet. I'm sorry, but he's absolutely shit. People are saying he, you know, occupies defenders and he does a job and all that. He's absolutely shite. You see that chance he got at the end when Joe Litton puts him through. My 9-year-old daughter would have got that on target. That's absolutely unacceptable. There's no way that guy should be even entertained as a backup striker to Callum Wilson or Alexander Isak. You need to go out and buy better. It's as simple as that. I would go out and buy better this January, because this guy is not good enough. You know, you can have another 5 months of this season, us pushing for fourth place. You know, hopefully we're going to get through against Leicester in the Carabao Cup. That's a real chance of silverware. But if anything happens to Wilson, which, let's be honest with you, can do, whether it be injury, whether it be illness, Isak, we're hoping that he comes back, stays fit, has a good run in the team. If those two can stay relatively fit and Wood sees no football, that's the best thing Newcastle United can ever hope for, because he's utterly utterly shite, and he shouldn't be anywhere near this team at all, in my opinion. I'm looking at some of his stats here. Mark hasn't done a slide, but if you look at Chris Wood's stats per 90 minutes, right? Non-penalty goals, so take away the 12-yard deadliness that he has, he is in the 2 percentile for strikers in his position. 2 percentile. So 98% of strikers around Europe in the top 5 leagues are better than this bloke. 98%. He's shite. He should never play for us again. 25 million quid. I'm sorry, we got ripped off. Burnley were laughing their cock off all the way at the bank. This guy is shite. He's finished at Premier League level, in my opinion. He can't run. He can't keep up with the play. You watch him, he's way behind the play. Even when Joe Linton breaks through and he passes the ball, he's blowing his arse to catch up with Joe Linton, and then he skies it over the bar. Like, he's supposed to be an international centre forward with loads of goals behind him. Just get your head down and put your laces through it, mate. I don't understand how he misses that chance. I really cannot figure out. Please tell us in the comments below if you can back Chris Wood or give Chris Wood any kind of argument as to how he misses that chance. It's absolutely shit, bread and butter. The only thing the lad's good at on his stats is winning headers. He's got 99 percentile for aerials won. So if you pump the ball up to him, he does win it. I'll give him that. But everything else, he's crap. He's absolutely shit, and he's a waste of a shirt. So, I'm not going to hear many arguments really about Chris Wood, in my opinion. The other player that was crap as well is Jacob Murphy. Now, Jacob Murphy gets loads of praise, and everyone says he works hard and everything else. He's fucking hard work is what he is. You watch him, he's like Des Hamilton with pace. I was watching that chance when he gets through one-on-one, and it's almost like time stood still. It's like somebody froze time, and Jacob Murphy didn't know what was going to happen, what was going on. I don't understand, as a professional footballer, when you threw on goal one-on-one, that you can't take a chance. Take a chance like that. I don't get it. I really don't get it. He's got all the desire and the endeavour, and he wants to do well for the team, but he just hasn't got the quality. I'm looking at his stats there. He's on 0.15 assists per 90 minutes. What he's played is in the 29 percentile. His pass completion. Get this. So his pass completion, his passes attempted, he's in the 7 percentile against players in his position, and his pass completion, he's in the 1 percentile. 1 percentile, Jacob Murphy. These two players ain't good enough out, even for the second string. If we're going to try and battle on all fronts, these two ain't good enough. I'm sorry. That's just not good enough for me whatsoever. His dribbles completed, 0.37. 1 percentile. He's supposed to be a fucking winger. 1 percentile. 99% of wingers across Europe are better than this bloke. Forget the sentiment. Forget the fact he works hard and he smiles and he was celebrating that Mickey Mouse Cup in Saudi Arabia. He's shit. Get in the bin. Rubbish. You need to upgrade on these players. Sentiment has to be out the window. If you want to compete at the top end of the Premier League and you want to try and win cups, you haven't got time to feel sorry for these guys who ain't good enough. I'm sorry. You've got to move on as a team. You've got to progress, and you've got to be a better team. That's it. You've got to have better players and better positions. If you're starting 11, can't play, or you can't field them because you've got a big game midweek, which we have to against Leicester. Hopefully Wilson's back. Hopefully Bruno starts. Hopefully everyone else is back and we beat Leicester. And then this game will be all forgotten about. But you cannot go and attack the FA Cup with players of this quality. They're not good enough. That team that Eddie Howe picked should have been good enough to win that game, and they weren't good enough. The missing chances, easy, simple chances for players at their level, unforgivable. Really is unforgivable. Murphy's stats, to be fair, are decent with tackles, but he isn't a defender either. But he does get a few tackles in there, so fair play to him on that one. But his attacking threat, useless. So shouldn't be anywhere near a front three. So as much as I said in my piece I did for the website, that the Leicester game was more important. The Leicester game is more important. Win that game, this game doesn't matter, right? But it was a telltale sign. It was a massive indication that the second string that we have is nowhere near good enough, right? And forget how much you like them, forget how much they're good lads or whatever it is. I'm sure they are all good lads. Chris Wood, Murphy, I don't want to be personal, I don't want to be a prick, but they're not good enough footballers. They're not good enough footballers to get you through the next round of the FA Cup. They're not good enough footballers to step in for better players when they're unavailable. So you need to go and upgrade. You need to go and buy players. I know how I was talking about FFP and everything else, and we want to save ourselves for further windows, and I get that, but there's a massive hole in quality from the first 11 down to the second 11. And I know all teams dip a little bit, but we dip massively. we dip hugely from what we have in the starting 11 to the second string. And that's why we won't go far in cup competitions, really, if we're relying on these guys. This is Chris, done with another What's the Crack with that. Let us know if you guys enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments below if you think I'm being harsh, you agree or disagree with us. We always love to engage with you. As I said at the start, if you haven't already, click the like and subscribe button. We'd love you to come and join us. Like the video, help it get around YouTube. We'll be back with some more videos later. I'm sure in the week we've got plenty to talk about with the Leicester game on. We'll be back with having more on Wednesday. Mark and I'll be back with what's going on Monday night as well. But until then, let's keep supporting that team. We'll call United, no matter how shite some of the second string players are. This is Chris signing off. We'll catch you later. Cheers.